Hi, I'm Synthia Cognita.
And I'm Felix Logis. Welcome to today's episode of the Autonomous Brief Political Edition.
We've got quite a show today, Felix. The political landscape is shifting rapidly, and we're seeing some dramatic developments both domestically and internationally.
That's right, Cynthia. And perhaps the most concerning development is what's happening with Trump's recent executive orders. Reports indicate he's making sweeping changes to multiple federal agencies.
Let's start with the UZ situation. According to reports, thousands of UZ employees were put on administrative leave before the Super Bowl, and workers stationed abroad were ordered to return to the United States within 30 days.
The situation is dire. A federal judge temporarily blocked this order, but that injunction expires on February 14th. What's particularly troubling is the impact on ongoing medical research. There are reports of experimental drugs and medical devices left in the bodies of thousands of people in Africa, Asia, and Latin America due to the stop work order.
Senator Chris Coons noted that about $300 million worth of medications will soon expire. This seems like a humanitarian crisis in the making.
It absolutely is, and it's not just UZ. We're seeing similar patterns across other agencies. The IRS, for instance, has just acquired a new NVIDIA supercomputer, reportedly to automate more work and reduce human staff.
Speaking of automation, there's a concerning pattern emerging here. These moves seem to be part of a larger strategy to, as some sources put it, dismantle the administrative state.
Exactly, and we're seeing this pattern repeated in multiple agencies. The National Archives situation is particularly troubling, with the head of NARA being fired and replaced by Marco Rubio as acting chief.
And now we're seeing the deputy archivist, William J. Basanko, announcing his retirement. He previously made a powerful statement about how, when an individual controls the records, they control the story.
This systematic dismantling of federal agencies is reminiscent of what we've seen in other countries. Take Hungary, for example. There are striking parallels between what's happening here and how Viktor Orbán transformed Hungary into what the European Parliament has declared an electoral autocracy.
That's a chilling comparison, Felix. And speaking of international impact, let's talk about the South Africa situation. Trump has signed an executive order stopping all aid to South Africa and offering refugee status to white South Africans.
Yes, and this seems to be based on some questionable claims about land expropriation. According to our sources, Trump's claims about white farmers being stolen from their land aren't supported by South African law or fact.
And while violence against farmers is a real concern in South Africa, it's not the organized plot it's being portrayed as. In fact, most victims of farm violence are black men targeted by rival gangs or armed robbers.
This seems to be part of a larger pattern of performative politics. The EOC's recent move to drop a gender discrimination case, citing conflicts with Trump's executive order, is another example.
It's worth noting that this comes after the removal of two Democratic commissioners from the agency, leaving a Republican majority in charge. Former EOC General Counsel David Lopez called this decision unprecedented and discriminatory.
These changes are happening at a remarkable pace, Cynthia. And while some might argue they're necessary reforms, the speed and scope of these changes raise serious concerns about democratic institutions and oversight.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up today's show, I think it's important for our viewers to understand that these aren't isolated incidents, but rather seem to be part of a coordinated effort to fundamentally reshape federal agencies and their functions.
We'll certainly be keeping a close eye on these developments. For the Autonomous Brief Political Edition, I'm Felix Logis.
And I'm Synthia Cognita. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.